MIO Memories in Orbit is Focus Entertainment's first game of 2026, and they are starting this year very strong. Ever since I saw this game's trailer and got to play it at Gamescom, I have been entranced by the visuals of this game. The art style they are using is gorgeous, giving it this storybook feel which actually accentuates the beauty within every single biome in this game. On top of that, it's a Metroidvania through and through, so you're going to have to go across the map multiple times getting new abilities to unlock new areas of the map, and it all works so well. At first I was actually a little bit worried about traversal because there are a lot of platforming elements to the game, but as you start to get more of the abilities like being able to recharge your stamina after hitting something, it becomes so much more fun and feels so fluid. The game doesn't have any clear directions about where you're going to need to go next, so you are going to have to figure out everything just by looking at your map and seeing which new pathways you might not have discovered yet. They do have little indicators here and there, so you do have to look a little bit closely, but you can see them. The biggest thing I have against the game is backtracking. There aren't a ton of save spots where you will respawn, especially in early game, and it got on my nerves how many times I died to bosses and had to crawl my way back going through winding tunnels or going to a completely new biome, forgetting to find and use the save area, and then respawning in the old biome and I have to travel all the way back. But as long as you take your time, investigate as many pathways as you can, and look for secrets, you are going to be able to find everything that you need to and all of the save points. I'm not really a huge fan of the save system and the fast travel system since it doesn't really get me close to where I need to be, but it still worked really well and I had a blast playing through the game. And yes, it is very great to play on the Steam Deck, but one change is going to be necessary if you want to play it at 60 frames per second. For the most part, the game is going to run flawlessly at 60 FPS on the Steam Deck. And if you have a Steam Deck OLED, you are really going to benefit from the gorgeous visuals. However, I noticed that while you're playing, there are going to be some areas that will drop the frame rate significantly. Sometimes in areas where you're looking at a larger location or where there's a lot of flora, it is going to be bottlenecked and drop down to 40 frames per second, sometimes even lower. Luckily, there's one way to easily fix it where you're not going to encounter this issue one bit, and that is just setting the graphics preset to medium. There are no advanced graphical settings for MIO, so all we have to do is choose a different preset, and there's high, medium, and low to choose from. The game defaults to high, and it makes me worried about the verified badge because this is not a game you want to play at 30 frames per second when you can play it at 60. But by just changing the graphics quality to medium, all these problems should be gone. You should be able to look at every area and stick to 60 frames per second no matter what. There are some visual differences between high and medium, but they are so small that I didn't know how it was able to justify going from 19 watt battery drain and 45 frames per second bottleneck to 60 frames per second and 10 watts battery drain. However, I'm not complaining. It works really well and it's just a blast to play. You just need to make that change if you want to really enjoy this game on the go. On top of that, changing it to medium decreases the battery drain and increases your battery life. With it, you should get an 8 watt to 11 watt battery drain average and get around 4.5 to 5 hours of battery life on the Steam Deck OLED and about 3.5 hours on the Steam Deck LCD. But either way, it's going to be very playable no matter what device you're going to be playing it on. Now, the game does not support 16:10 resolution, so you are going to see black bars at the top and bottom of the screen, but it does have cloud saves and controller support is fantastic. MIO Memories in Orbit has quickly become one of my favorite Metroidvanias and quite possibly one of the best that's going to come out this year. The traversal mechanics are fantastic and fluid, the visuals are absolutely stunning, the story is relatively interesting, and there is a good balance between skill and luck. Almost all of the deaths I had in the game were a result of my own skill issues. There was none where I felt like I was actually cheated out of a death. And with just one simple change, this is a flawless experience on the Steam Deck, and one I highly recommend. Publisher Focus Entertainment is really starting off strong here, and I gotta give my hats off to the developer for making such a fantastic Metroidvania. I am extremely excited for Focus Entertainment's lineup going forward this year, especially because they started off very strong. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified as soon as our next video goes live. And a huge thank you to our patrons. You guys are awesome. See you next time.